Hi, I'm Kathy with the Delafield Quilt Company, and today I'm going to show you another little 4th of July project, and that is this table runner. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. To make this table runner, the first thing you need to do is download the free template to make the stars, and this is available on our website, and I will put a link to this in the show notes. For material requirements, for the top, for white fabric, you're going to need 15 5.5 inches by 2 1/8 inch rectangles and a variety of scraps. And your scraps need to be big enough that they easily fit around the different sections of the foundation paper pieces. For red fabric, you're going to need 20 5.5 inch by 2 1/8 inch rectangles. And then finally for the navy fabric, again, a variety of scraps that are big enough to fit around the different sections of the foundation paper piece templates. And if you want to include the sashing that I did in my example, you're going to also need 1 inch by 15.5 inch strips for the sashing. Other items that you're going to need are batting, some backing fabric, and then some coordinating fabric for the binding. You're also going to need 9 pieces of foundation paper. Once you've downloaded your template, go ahead and cut your pieces out. Remember, you need 9 of these total. I've already done that for the stars. And then you're going to need to get the scraps of fabric cut big enough so you can fit them around each of the sections. For this one, the B1 is going to be white, B3 and B2 are both going to be blue. B1 is going to be the first one that we sew on. And if you're new to foundation paper piecing, we do have a video on our channel that goes a little bit more detailed than I will. Feel free to check that out if you need to. So the basics of foundation paper piecing is making sure that your pieces can overlap the section that they're going in. And we're going to work from the wrong side of the pattern. For B1, your first piece always starts face up. And you should hold these up to the light just to make sure that your fabric is going to at least be a 1/4 inch around all of these lines of B1. And it should also extend beyond this dotted line. And then for B2, that is going to be right side down. And you're going to fold back the B1. Sometimes I like to put a little crease. I know you can't see the lines on this camera, but once you hold up to the light, usually you can see the lines. And I like to put a little crease in the fabric just so I know where that seam line is going to be. And then I need to make sure I'm a 1/4 inch over that line. And you need to make sure that when you sew it, it's going to flip back over and completely cover the outside of B2. I do find it helpful to put a pin in here and test it just to make sure it's going to fully cover. And then when you're sewing these, it's helpful to have a really short stitch length so that you can easily tear off the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew between B1 and B2. I'm going to sew across the seam allowance and all the way, and I'm going to stop here at this point. Okay, so I've now sewn B2 to B1, and before I move on to B3, I'm just going to trim the excess here, and I'm going to just use my scissors. You could use your rotary cutter. I'm going to go about a 1/4 inch from that fold. And then once you have the excess trimmed off, just go ahead and press this flat. And then we're going to put on the third piece, which is B3 in this case. And again, we want to find the line between B1 and B3. I'm just going to fold back my fabric a little bit of B1. And then you need to make sure you have it overlapped enough for a 1/4 inch. And then just like before, we're going to sew right between B1 and B3. Okay, now that I've got B3 sewn, same thing, cut the excess off, fold back, and then press it. So then when you have your pieces sewn on, we just need to trim off the excess here and clean this up. Usually the dotted line should be a 1/4 inch from the solid line, but just in case, I'm going to just use the ruler, and then I'm going to do a 1/4 inch from the solid line. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way around the template to clean this up. So I've already sewn all the pieces for this star. Okay, once you have the pieces arranged so they resemble your star, then I'm going to start with pattern A and pattern B, and I'm going to put these sides together. And the pattern has the lines pretty accurate, so if you line them up, maybe put a pin in here, and then you're going to sew right on the black line to sew those 2 pieces together. I like to press the pieces as I go, so I'm just going to give that a press. Okay, now I'm going to sew on template D. Okay, and just like before, I'm going to line up the edges, and then I'm going to sew this together. And then final piece C, I'm going to line it up to the top and go ahead and sew that one. And at this point, you could take the paper off if you wanted to, or wait until you sew the star piece together. And then you're going to want to repeat that process with the other 8 stars. Okay, now that we got the stars ready, it's time to work on the red and white stripes. So we're going to do 4 columns of these, and there's going to be 9 of these rectangles. It will be 5 red and 4 white. Okay, so this is 1 column worth. I'm just going to turn it so you can see the entire piece here. So we're going to start with the red and we're going to end with the red. And then we're going to just sew this together with a 1/4 inch. So I've already gone ahead and sewn the first column together. You're going to then repeat this for the other 3 columns of the red and white stripes. Okay, once you have all of your stars done, so all 9 of them, and all of your red and white striped columns, so total 4 columns, you can go ahead and start sewing the top of this table runner together. So I did end up going with the optional sashing. You don't have to do that. I just wanted a little more space between the stars. So that's why I added the sashing. I ended up using actually 4 pieces of the sashing. And then I just went 3 stars per row and total of 3 rows. And then here you can see the 4 columns of the red and white stripes. Again, I went with kind of a scrappy look, and those came together pretty easily as well. Just make sure that you align your seams for the different columns. So then to finish this tabletop, all you need to do is add the batting, the backing, and then quilt it, and then finish it with a nice binding. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you haven't done so, please subscribe and visit us at DelafieldQuiltCo.com. Thank you and have a great day.